when you are charging, I don't know, £150, something really small day rate for working in the UK, that's like ridiculously small. But when you are coming from making no money, you think, wow, £150 and I'm having fun with After Effects or with Cinema 4D. But that's not good. And in the long term, you will realize that when you start working as an independent freelancer, there are a lot of associated costs that you don't see at the beginning.
I said, okay, if I'm going to put a hold on my dream, my goal, the price is going to be high.
But the thing that is really valuable, the thing the client wants the most, is to get to the goal. What's the value of achieving that goal? What is that going to do for the business? Because if the client can see that what you are creating for them is going to aid in them getting to that goal, then that's how you can figure out your pricing.
Don't be afraid to charge more. I think you're worth more than you think you are. And you're the only one holding you back from earning more money.
Charging more is so key. It's so easy to put a rate and then you assume that that's the normal thing. You need to ask, if you have the opportunity, to people around you how much they're charging, to know their rates and to put them up. And it looks that the places you are freelancing at, they are your friends and they can be very friendly, but if they can pay you less, they will pay you less. They're not going to tell you. And sometimes I heard of exceptional places that say, look, your day rate should go up, but in general, they don't tell you. So,
and the worst they're going to do is say no. So no one's going to be like, no, and don't come back,
Yeah, exactly. Like usually I'm always telling everyone, charge more than you think. And most places will negotiate with you. They're not just going to be like, no, like go away. We never want to speak to you again. They're going to go, well, we can't really afford that. And, that's actually the answer that you want, because then it means that you're charging enough, if they are negotiating with you, rather than, as if you say, oh yeah, my rate's this, and they go, yep, straight away you're like, damn, probably could have got more.
Don't be afraid to charge more. I think you're worth more than you think you are. And you're the only one holding you back from earning more money. So go out there and go big. What's the worst that could happen? They say no. And then you say, okay, what is your budget? And then they give you a lower number and you're like, okay, yes or no. I had to pass on a lot of quality work and go for work that made more money. So don't be afraid to be that corporate guy for a bit. If you got to pay the bills, you got to pay the bills. Not everyone could be like superstar motion designer every day. Maybe you can, but if you need to pay the bills, don't be ashamed. We're all doing it. And then also outreach. It's just keep reaching out, whether it's internal network or new people. I can't stress it enough how many times it's just in the past year that I reached out, even 2 years ago, that I haven't talked to again. They reach out to me randomly because I'm on some list somewhere and they need help. So get your name out there. I feel like Gary Vaynerchuk. Just hustle. Do it. Just hustle. That's what it is. It's just keep going. I had this motivation of I got to put food on the table and I'm going to out hustle all these motion designers. No one's going to write more emails than me. I'm going to outwrite all of you mographers and you're not going to stop me.
I did raise my rate and I said, okay, if I'm going to put a hold on my dream, my goal, the price is going to be high. So I can focus my free time on learning about running a studio and doing lead generation and meeting more people and kind of that. So the current clients, some of them just said well, it's not going to happen. And I was like, okay, sure, let me know. I mean, maybe, we can still work on the same rate if I'm available. But just so you know, I'll be charging that. And then if another client that can pay me that, then I would just have to go there. There was one new client that every time that I raised the rate, they were like, it's totally fine. So they became my favorite client. They were super nice. I was never overworking. And also because I was doing the Exquisite on and off, I was learning to be a producer as well. So whatever I was delivering to them started being extremely organized. I did notice, okay, I'm not just raising my price because I want to, but I'm gaining so much experience that the value of my work is a lot higher.
It's very difficult to know and really scary. I do understand. For me, it was very scary at the beginning. And also because when you are charging, I don't know, £150, something really small day rate for working in the UK. That's like ridiculously small. But when you are coming from making no money, you think, wow, £150 and I'm having fun with After Effects or with Cinema 4D. But that's not good. And in the long term, you will realize that that's not going to get you. That's going to make you very tired and you're going to barely make money to pay your rent. And if you need a new laptop, you are going to be struggling to buy a decent one and all of those things because you have to pay taxes and you need to, when you start working as an independent freelancer, there are a lot of associated costs that you don't see at the beginning. And I think you need to understand that it's not about multiplying your day rate by 20 and say, oh, that's my monthly salary. That's not how it works because you might have times in which you are ill, or times in which you're tired, or even times in which someone comes with a super interesting music video opportunity that they don't have the budget for, and you want to join. So you need to charge those big people in order to be able to afford what you want to make.
And we definitely apply the same thing working as a studio now, trying to charge more with bigger clients who we know have more money. And then it can allow us to do smaller projects or collaborations or like all this fashion stuff as well, which we really enjoy and also advances our work.
Yeah, there's multiple ways of going about it. I usually just ask, and I'm sure that that's like, oh, we just ask. But I know we don't always get the answer for that. A lot of times clients are like, well, I don't know. You tell me.
Exactly.
So first off, I have a minimum. So I don't go below a certain amount. I won't take any project under that amount. Because we always end up like negotiating against ourselves and like keep making it lower because we want to make sure that we land the project. So that's one, make sure you have a minimum. Two, ask the budget. Also, I've given really big ranges. Like if they say, well, I don't know, you tell me. I'm like, oh, okay. So if I came back with a proposal that's roughly around $200,000, are we thinking around 200,000 then, or 100,000? And if their eyes get really big and they're like, no, absolutely not. That's not what I was thinking. Oh, so you did have something in mind, or you did have a range. So there are ways to throw out something that maybe would seem a lot to a client, or if you're like, okay, well, yeah, are we thinking around 1 to 500,000? From 100,000 down to 50,000. So if I came back with a proposal in that range, would we even have a shot at it? There's that way. Other ways are, well, typically we have seen projects like this with the size company that you have and the goal that you have can range anywhere between X and Y. And usually that's, again, it's a big range because every company is different. Every need is different. Again, it's based off the goal. And how much do they think is fair to invest in achieving that goal? If the goal and the end product, they're aiming at getting $1 million more in revenue, then what makes sense for them to invest with their budget or their resources that they have currently in order to get to that goal? So there's that way of going about it. I usually will say a range, I will say I'm most likely going to come back with a number between this and this. If I did, how would that go? How would that land for your team? Is that a possibility? But I've had a lot of luck too in just asking for the budget straight away. So at least start there.
What we do as a studio, what we ask is for the budget for the entire campaign. Day rates don't apply anymore because depending on the budget, we hire animators when we get bigger projects, and we can hire people for the team when we get bigger projects. So we need to know the budget, but the budgets can vary so much in the studio environment. So what we do is we always ask for them to give us a number at the beginning. So if someone sends us an email and they say, oh, we have this new campaign for Google for their website, you have no idea if this is the biggest campaign of the year for Google or if this is a little thing that Google is going to have for a week on a side of the website. So if they give you an initial number, and we don't really engage some more conversation until they give us that number. And once we have the number, now we know what we are talking about. Now you know if you're talking about a super big project in which you're going to put 20 people on, or if you're talking a little thing that we are going to do on the side. And it might be that we are interested in both things, but if you don't know, you might make the mistake of saying something ridiculously small, and you might even not get the project because they are like, are these guys a studio or what is this? So
yeah, and sometimes, they'll say how much and we'll say how much and they'll say how much, and you have to really hold your ground and have a few awkward emails back and forth because in the end, they do have a budget allocated. So they really have to say, yeah, you might just want to draw the pictures, and you don't want to be some kind of hard-nosed business person. And I think that they know that, so they're able to exploit you a lot easier.
It's hard to charge for ideas because they just sort of happen. And they happen because you think about them all the time and you're not necessarily doing anything, but you're doing something. So if we're writing a script or we're doing a storyboard or we're making a tangible thing that we're going to send to them to review, we will charge for that. So if we think the script's going to take us 3 days to write, we'll charge them for 3 days of a day rate, or similarly with storyboards and all those things. But on top of a project fee, so we add up all that time, and then we'll add a percentage for creative direction on top of that. And that's sort of to like capture the sort of intangible, like, I don't know, our art director like goes for a run in the evening to think about the project or whatever, like just to kind of like capture that stuff, like the stuff that's kind of hard to get otherwise, or like the time that we like walk around the office and sit there and scratch our heads and talk about stuff like 5 minutes at a time to kind of figure it out. So that's how we do it. So we charge for all the assets that we're creating through like all the artists, and then we'll add a percentage for creative direction, and then also a percentage for project management.
How do you convey the value to a client?
Yeah, the one thing that has really helped me is focusing on the goal that the client is trying to achieve, because the thing that we're delivering, no matter what it is, no matter what creative it is, the thing that we're delivering is a vehicle for them to get to their goal. And when you think of us buying a vehicle, all of us have different criteria, let's say, of if we're talking about a real vehicle, a car that we're buying. Like some of us want the luxury, some of us want to get there the quickest. So there's all these different criteria that we'd like in the vehicle to get us to the goal. But the thing that is really valuable, the thing that the client wants the most, is to get to the goal. So first off, that's why we have to concentrate on that, and we have to find out, what is the goal? What's the value of achieving that goal? What is that going to do for the business? Because if the client can see that what you are creating for them is going to aid in them getting to that goal. So I think if you can get that down first in that mindset, that really helps, because it takes all the pressure off the deliverable of, oh, it has to be valuable. I have to add more stuff into it, or I have to add an extra stuff so the client sees the value. We do that because we don't know what it's trying to do. You can tailor then your creative to help get them. Like, how can you create now something that's going to help them get to that goal?